After the expulsion, 5,655 firms, ranches, farms and businesses were given to the Ugandans, as well as their homes, cars and other household properties. So this would be a positive side effect of the migration on Uganda, and a negative on the migrants. Later on, in 1972, India cut off relations with Uganda. Many of the expelled Indians were British citizens and so migrated to the United Kingdom. Some became stateless after having had to leave Uganda. Around 27,200 Ugandan Indian refugees were taken into Britain. 6,000 went to Canada, 4,500 returned to India, and 2,500 went to Kenya. A pull factor for Britain and Canada would be that they were accepted there, had a potential for employment, it was a safe atmosphere, and they were politically secure. A pull factor for India would be that they were able to reunite with family and friends, had political security and a safe atmosphere. A pull factor for Kenya would be that it is located nearby and they had a potential of living a better life there. 1,000 refugees also moved to Malawi, Pakistan, Germany, USA, Australia, Sweden, and New Zealand. 20,000 refugees were unaccounted for. As many of the migrants moved to the UK, there was a camp set up there called Strathshaw Camp, which was there to temporarily accommodate the refugees. A negative effect of the migration would be that several British people were alarmed by the large number of immigrants and feared that they would become a permanent settlement and result in an adverse effect on the economy. At first, the migrants faced racism, prejudice, and had trouble being accepted. In 1968, the Conservative Party MP Enoch Powell made his infamous Rivers of Blood speech, predicting that unchecked immigrants would lead to violence in the UK. The British government distanced itself from the resettlement of the Indians and set up an organization called the Uganda Resettlement Board to find jobs and homes for these people. This organization was a
bit of space in my wardrobe and feel that it was going to help somebody.
Being ushered into this building, or I guess the terminal building, and this
Place next, I think.
it was wonderful. You just had layers on layer after layer after layer, and it was great. I remember that, and having a great big coat on at the end of it all. So you got 10 layers and a great big coat on top, and you felt like a king.
Settling in was quite tough on the Indians as the cost of living were cheaper in Uganda, with an income tax of only 2.5%. Various local authorities took part in welcoming the Asians by rescuing them from the camp and providing them with a suitable home. The camp was closed on 14th of March 1973 as its numbers decreased and there were almost no refugees left. A positive effect of the migration would be that the Suffolk Social Services and other local businesses had to employ more people, which boosted the local economy to a huge extent. Although the Indians didn't have a huge amount of money to spend, they were economically stable. Some continued to stay in the Suffolk area while others moved to Leicester, Corby and Bradford. A pull factor for the migrants moving to Britain would be the safer environment and the potential for employment, although it took a little adjustment to get the hang of living costs. Initially, they had to accept low-pay jobs such as bus drivers, farm laborers, tailors, etc. to gain rights and better pay. The immigrants were fluent in English and had no trouble communicating, which did make working in Britain easier. Prior to the migration, the number of Asians living in the UK was 45,000, and 10 years later, in 1981, the number had risen to 180,000. I personally think that this migration has been a huge success. Although it was forced and the Indians were literally pushed out of Uganda, they did manage to find a new home in the UK and settle down. During this time, they faced a lot of racism and negativity, although it all decreased over time. At first, UK seemed to be negatively affected with overpopulation and various refugees. However, they soon realized the massive economic boost. The Ugandan Asian community has thrived well over the past 40 years and is now considered a migrant community which has successfully integrated and prospered in the UK. Though the move itself was a difficult time, The outcome made it worth the trouble, providing safety and employment.